welcome to English with Chris. Now in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you some idioms. And if you don't know what an idiom is a collection of words to make a phrase where the meaning of this phrase is completely different to the actual literal meaning of the words. So an example of a common idiom that I see in a lot of English textbooks is, "It's raining cats and dogs." Now obviously, it does not mean that cats and dogs are falling from the sky. It just means that it's raining very heavily. However, this is an idiom that is often taught, but it is not used very often by native speakers, or not by people I know anyway. It's much more common to say something like, "It's throwing down," or "It's chucking down," if you want to express that it's raining very heavily. So today, I'm going to teach you 10 of the most commonly used idioms that I hear every day, or almost every day, from native speakers. It's also important to know that there are thousands and thousands of idioms in the English language, and a lot of idioms can be very location or country dependent, meaning that certain countries will use certain idioms and other countries won't know those idioms. They might use other idioms. So I'm going to teach you some of the most common widespread idioms that I hear from people and students all over the world. And I'm going to teach you these idioms in a way which will improve your learning through context skills. So I'm going to give you a sentence containing an idiom, and I'd like you to have a think about what this idiom could mean given the context of the sentence. And then afterwards, obviously, I will explain everything to you so that you know how to use this idiom perfectly. So the first sentence containing an idiom is, "What's the capital of Australia?" I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I could go and look it up. You can pause the video now if you would like to have a think about this. Think about what the idiom is and what it could mean. So I'm sure most of you got it. The idiom in this sentence is "off the top of my head." This does not mean that I get the information from the top of my head. This means from my knowledge in my memory without any planning or checking on Google or anything. I'm sure a few of you also noticed a useful phrasal verb in this sentence as well, which is to look something up. And this means to check for some information either in a dictionary or these days more likely on your phone, on Google or something like that. My next sentence is, "I called my girlfriend by my ex-girlfriend's name last week, but it was just a slip of the tongue. Now she's my new ex-girlfriend." So the idiom here is a slip of the tongue. And the meaning of this idiom is a small mistake or accident in your speech that was not intended. Definitely not intended in this case. The third one is, "Playing football is not rocket science. You just have to put the ball in the back of the net." So the idiom here is, "It's not rocket science." And this means that something is not very difficult to do at all. In fact, it's relatively easy. The fourth one is, "Getting let go from that job was a blessing in disguise because now I've got a much better job." And the idiom here was a blessing in disguise. And this means something that at first seemed unlucky or a negative result, but in the end it turned out to be a positive, good result. There was also a phrasal verb in this sentence. If any of you have watched my previous video on the 10 most common business phrasal verbs, you will know what this is. It was the phrasal verb to let go, and this means to be fired from your job. Number 5 is, "We've walked for ages and I'm exhausted. Shall we call it a day?" And the idiom here was, "call it a day." And this means to end something because you've had enough of it or you don't want to continue. And number 6, that was just a slip of the tongue. So number 6 is, "That Donald Trump rally really got out of hand, didn't it?" The idiom here is to get out of hand, And I'm sure you can work this out if you know the context of the sentence. It means when a situation gets much worse and becomes too difficult to control, it gets out of hand. The seventh one is, her name is on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't quite remember it. So another tongue idiom here. The idiom is, it's on the tip of my tongue. And the meaning of this idiom is when you know that you know some information, but you can't quite remember it in the moment, but you're sure in time it will come to you and you will remember it. And the next one is, I'm not sure what the weather is going to be like for the hike tomorrow, so we're going to have to play it by ear. The idiom here is to play it by ear. And the meaning of this idiom is that for some reason you are unable to plan something, so you have to decide at the time as the situation develops. For example, the weather is always changing, so sometimes you can't plan too far into the future, so you have to play it by ear. Number 9 is, Brexit was a terrible idea, wasn't it? You can say that again. The idiom here is, you can say that again. And the meaning of this idiom does not mean that the person wants you to repeat yourself. It just means that he agrees with you 100%. He's expressing his strong agreement with what you said. And number 10 is, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah. Do you know what time the meeting starts? Your guess is as good as mine. So the idiom here is, your guess is as good as mine. And this means that I do not know. I haven't got a clue. So just to recap, the 10 idioms that we've learnt today are off the top of my head, a slip of the tongue, it's not rocket science, a blessing in disguise, call it a day, get out of hand, it's on the tip of my tongue, play it by ear, you can say that again, and your guess is as good as mine. Try as much as you can to start using them actively in conversation when you speak to other English speakers. I know it's very difficult to use new vocabulary actively, but at least try to learn them and to get them into your mind so that when you hear these idioms from other people, you will know what they mean, so it will help your passive English a lot. I think we'll call it a day now. I think that's enough idioms for one day, isn't it? But if you liked the video today, I please ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. It will help me a lot and it will allow me to keep making these videos for you. Thanks very much.